Pulse. That's the word of the day today, and if you follow anything about AI, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, or if you just do it casually, or maybe you just don't check it once every hour like all my news alert feeds, AI agents and everything else feed the news to me in that cadence, then maybe you just haven't seen it quite yet. But today, ChatGPT released a new feature called Pulse, and while I typically will do these videos and just talk to you in the hopes that instead of sharing my screen, you'll actually go experience and explore and play with some of these things that we talk about, today you aren't able to do that unless you are on the ChatGPT Pro subscription, which is $200 a month. I am because, well, I'm obsessed a little bit with AI, just a tiny bit, and I obviously have to have all the new stuff so I can share it with you guys. This is coming quickly to the other tiers, I have to imagine, to the Plus account and to the, I don't know if it'll ever come to the free account, I have to imagine that it will, but I'm going to actually show it to you on the phone here in a second. But before I do that, I want to talk about what it really means to the camping and RV park industry. It's all about being proactive. So what you're going to see is a feature that ChatGPT released that is intended to take what it knows about you and share updates with you that's really mean something to you. So think things that you've searched in the past, things that it knows about what you like or what you research for work or what your hobbies are or what your family loves to do or whatever else, right? The goal is like the ultimate personalized, think of it like a news feed, but not necessarily news, information, entertainment, stuff like that, right? And so I've talked about this for a few years on and off, not in this way, that this is coming in this specific instance, but that AI will be proactive. This is, you should think of this as step one. And I don't know how many steps there's going to be, but there's going to be a lot of them, okay? But we've talked frequently on the MC Fireside Chat show, on the Outwired show, about how AI is going to be proactive. And what I mean by that is right now it's reactive. So you go to ChatGPT, you type a query in, and it answers. That's a reaction to a query that you type. What AI is ultimately going to be is that still, but it will be proactive too. And what you're about to see is the first step in that process. But taking that to the end conclusion or a middle conclusion or whatever step we get to with campground or RV parks, there's going to be a point here very quickly where the AI knows that your customers like to go camping. They like to go in July. They like to go to Texas. They like to stay in North Texas instead of South Texas. They like to go in the fall instead of the spring. They typically stay a week instead of 2 nights. They have 2 kids who like playgrounds, and this is the budget range that they have, and they always have to have Wi-Fi, but they don't really care about hard concrete patios, but maybe some patio furniture and a campfire would be interesting to them, and that could be an upsell. It's going to know all of that, right? But instead of waiting for you to ask questions, it's going to be proactive. So in February, they're going to get a prompt and they're going to say, hey, do you want me to help you plan your camping trip for this year? And that is going to dramatically shift the booking window that we all try to track frantically and worry about. And is it shortening? Is it lengthening? When is it going to happen? When are the people going to book? How far out for the holidays? How far out for the weekends in summer? When is shoulder season start to book or taper off, right? All that data is going to be completely upended. And likewise, your dynamic pricing schemes. Now, we've talked before about dynamic pricing. You have a lot of vendors in your space that technically say you have dynamic pricing, but you don't really have dynamic pricing. You have a bunch of pricing you can set based on different variables manually that you have to react to one at a time or once a season, or however often you guys are setting up individually as owners, which for sure is a benefit. But now imagine, like, it's not real dynamic pricing like Disney, right? Now imagine a scenario where AI is prompting everybody because it knows that if you book in February, that the prices will be a little bit lower because maybe you haven't got to set it up at your park yet, or maybe less people book that far in advance, or whatever the reason is, right? So then it prompts the people to begin booking their trips in February, and it says, hey, can I help you plan that camping trip? Well, sure, like, let me see what you got, right? And it will go out and research and do all the things we've talked about before. It'll browse the websites, it'll gather the information, it'll deliver the photos, it'll look at prices, it'll do everything, including very quickly booking the whole stay. And at that point, like, your dynamic pricing is a little bit out of whack, right? And so there are going to be opportunities where you can go and try to adjust that dynamic pricing, but the AI is quickly going to figure out that, oh, you decided that you want to mess with it in February, well, we're just going to book in January, or we're going to book in March, or we're going to book the week before or the week after. And so it's going to be a constant battle for you to keep up with this dynamic pricing, because everybody's individual AI is going to have their best interest in mind and be focused on their budget. So I think eventually you're going to see an evolution to where, if some of these software companies can keep up, they're going to have to deploy their own AIs that will react to the other AIs, and in real time maybe offer discounting based on the person. You've seen Delta Airlines like personalizing some of their flights for each individual person based on what they know and how much they'll pay, and are they a loyalty member and stuff like that. That's like real dynamic pricing. And so I think eventually that will come to the industry. How fast depends on the software providers that we have in our industry. But back to 6 minutes in now, like where we're at here with step one, and that's ChatGPT Pulse. So I'm gonna unlock my phone, because while I was talking for 6 minutes, it did my other one. So you can see here, hopefully this isn't backwards for you. If it is, then hopefully you'll get the gist of it anyway. It's backwards for me when I'm sharing it in the screen. You can see here on the front of the screen, it says today's pulse. It's more colorful the first time you looked at it. I've already been through it already, so it kind of says like you're all caught up for today. But it will show up here every single morning, and you can curate this, but it will just do it automatically for you. So now I have not curated this. It just literally came out a few hours ago. So I've done it for tomorrow, and we'll see how good that happens. But so you just tap on this thing, and then you get this little colorful screen that will be different for every single person on the entire planet. And so mine says September 25th. Let's start with naming and loyalty, since those shape how parks position themselves globally. So yesterday I was doing some research on the naming conventions. We're designing banners for trade shows for all over the world, right? Between outdoor hospitality and open air resorts, which they use in Europe instead, the open air industry, and holiday parks, which they use in the UK. And so, like, what do I put on my banner when I'm going to this country or that country or whatever else, right? So this thing surfaced an article for me that I have not read yet, but it has said it's how naming shapes guest expectations. From outdoor hospitality to open air, terminology differs globally, and those differences directly affect branding and positioning strategies. So like I click that, it goes into, I guess, a quick playbook article that maybe ChatGPT wrote for me that talks about all that different stuff. And then if you go down, like, you can see there's other things that I've talked about recently or researched in my ChatGPT recently. So loyalty tokens as future stay credits, schema markup as a silent sales rep. And then there's a section that says you decide what shows up here. What's on your mind lately? I'll remember it for tomorrow's update. And so here it says, you can fill in like, I'm curious about, I'd like to explore, keep me updated on, share anything. And you can just like type keep me updated on, and it'll give you a prompt. It says like, tell me what matters most and I'll follow up. You've been circling outdoor hospitality growth, AI, automations, business and labor impacts, tokenized loyalty, and resilient web systems. Today's update highlighted pricing AI, WordPress threats, and naming matters. Anything I missed? Keep me updated on, and you can just type whatever you want. And so it will do a good job based on your conversation history, but you can also completely curate this thing, and it will change what you see every single day. So it just gives you little prompts there. And then now shifting into pricing. So it gave us this CampSpot AI pricing announcement, which just, I think, was released a couple days ago at their CampSpot conference in Grand Rapids. And so it gives me that news there. If I click on that, then it'll give me like a little news story that is all about that, what was announced, everything like that. So I can read, stay right in within ChatGPT. And then since you rely on WordPress daily, here's a look at its fragility and how to harden it, and some different articles on that. And then it says like which business side developments are most worth following. I think that probably everybody will have a different question here, but it gives me some options there. And then some different things on AI in the workforce, which we talked about on the podcast yesterday, some data about people replacing jobs and things of that nature. So it's really interesting. Like, you can curate the thing for tomorrow. It gives you this little stack of information, and I think this is really going to be quite the difference maker for people who are interested in getting the news, getting the information they need. And this is the first step in proactiveness of AI, right? It's going to come to you and it's going to start to curate what you see. This is no different. Well, it is different, but it's like an evolution of the social media feed where they're feeding you these things with algorithms, except this time, instead of likes, clicks, comments, pauses, scrolling on news feeds, it's actually basing it on everything you know. It asked me that if for permission to read my Gmail and my calendar so that it can understand what I'm interested in, and I gave it that, like we'll all give it that, right? Because convenience is the name of the game. And so it will ask me all that kind of stuff. It will curate based on all the conversations that I've had in ChatGPT. So the more that you talk to it, the more information you give it, the more knowledge that is aware of you, the better the things that are going to be surfaced in there for you. And ultimately, it just saves time. It gives you more knowledge. It gives you more education for a business person, for a family. It's going to give you more entertainment, more kid stories, more. And this is just the beginning, just the evolution, right? But this is the reach out and touch you. This is the, hey, don't forget about AI. We're here. It's helpful. Let me give you all the things that you need to maybe get through your day or enhance it or think differently or whatever else. So first step, going to go to many, but think of it like where we're ultimately going is the ultimate personalization, where it's going to reach out and it's going to decide, fundamentally shift booking windows and price behavior and how people do things. And you have to be ready for this. You've got to be ready for this. This is not a situation where you just say like, AI, I don't think it's for me. We're not there as a company. It's not optional, guys. You've got to get on board. So find somebody to help you with it. See you later.